The Adirondacks is the largest park in the United States, encompassing 6.1 million acres and taking up a huge chunk of upstate New York. Now, although this big area is a park, some of the land is private, most of it is state-owned. But the good thing is that nearly half of it is considered wilderness.
In a park this size, your route options are numerous. But after careful consideration, we embarked on a trek that took us through the William C. Whitney Wilderness Area. This 5-day loop, which begins at the ranger station on Little Tupper Lake, winds its way clockwise through Lake Lilla, Lowe's Lake, then down the Bog River into Round Lake and back to our starting point. With the exception of the high ridges surrounding these waterways, the Adirondack landscape has a certain familiarity to it, reminiscent of what we see back home in Ontario. Pristine lakes with windswept pines on rocky outcrops, and a forest floor carpeted in a sea of green are all familiar and welcoming sights. But it is the draw of those nearby mountain peaks that led to many detours along the way. Hiking to the summit of these ridges gave us a new perspective on this breathtaking park. Canoeing through the Adirondacks, we've seen an awful lot of wildlife. Not so much on the big lakes, but once you get onto the river system, it becomes quite apparent. We've seen otter, beaver, deer. We even saw one big large moose that we startled on the river that crossed right in front of us. Another thing we've seen an awful lot of are snapping turtles, great big ones. In late spring and early summer, female snapping turtles venture ashore in search of loose, sandy soil. Here, she will build a nest by digging a hole and depositing several dozen small eggs, covering them with sand. After incubating for a period of 2 to 4 months, the baby turtles hatch and make their way to the water.
Within Adirondack Park, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has established multiple campsites on lakes and hiking trails. These are designated by a little yellow Camp Here disc. Usually they're about 150 feet away from the lakeshore, so you have to follow the arrows up to the campsite. These campsites tend to be pretty large with a large fire pit, a pit privy, and multiple spots for tents. Generally you'll be camping at designated campsites. However, some management areas actually permit you to camp anywhere you want. There's a catch though. You have to be 150 feet away from any shoreline, body of water, such as rivers, streams, and lakes, portages, or trails. Portages, or as they're called here in Adirondack Park, carries, can vary from really easy and short to long, steep, boggy, overgrown. Here on the Whitney Wilderness Loop, it's pretty rugged in some parts. We're coming up the bog stream to Round Lake Outlet right now, and the trail is pretty overgrown. It's June and the growth is pretty thick. The bugs are pretty bad. It's hard to find trails because they're not marked by D-C markers here. They're marked by just orange flagging tape. So we got to find our way up here. You could paddle down the stream if you had a nice Royal X or ABS boat, but going upriver, your only chance is lining it, and based on the amount of rapids going upstream, it's going to take you forever. So if you are tripping on the Whitney Wilderness Loop, be prepared for a few lengthy carries. Make sure you have a good sense of navigation and can get through the bush. It's not too heavy with the nice ultralight Cronje here from Novacraft. It's about 50 pounds, and on my shoulders it feels pretty easy. I can single carry with this. Got the big 60-pound pack and the boat, so we're going steady.
But not all portages are long or difficult. For instance, the 2 carries around the upper and lower dams on the Bog River are short and straightforward. Depending on water levels, some portages can be avoided altogether if you don't mind getting a little wet. And the carry from Harrington Pond into Clear Pond, though lengthy, is easy enough as it follows an old abandoned railway line.
More than a century ago, these same railway lines transported people into the heart of the Adirondacks. Grand lodges, luxury resorts, and private hunt and fish camps were constructed. These destinations became the woodland retreat for the wealthy. Today, many of these ruins are slowly being reclaimed by nature, as more and more lands in this area are acquired by the government for public recreational use, allowing future generations to enjoy the wilderness that is the Adirondack Park.